gently. Inhale fresh energy. Chant Om. Hari Om. Recite the Yoga Sutras from the Yoga philosophy text written by the Patanjali, Yoga Darshanam. Get ready for that. We are saying the sutra related to 8 limbs of yoga. Repeat that. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhyo, Astavangani, Yama. That Yama explained beautifully by the Patanjali in the sutra as Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yamaha. These are the 5 sublimbs in the first limb, Yama. You are repeating that sutra. Get ready. Something about a bike which is called Yamaha. Why Patanjali was thinking and speaking about Yamaha in those days, that bike was also not there. And I am not something speaking about anything like that. Yamaha means these are the set of 5 rules and regulations concerned with the self-control. Yama means coming from the word samyama. Samyama means control. Yama, the embodiment of self-control manifested in human form and practiced all these 5 sublims, and he became a great yogi, turned as a great yogi and liberated, got self-realization. He is Yama. By connecting to that energy, we also can become Yama. That means we can connect to the higher consciousness if we practice this, and we can become fearless. It is possible if you practice Yama. First sublime is Ahimsa. Ahimsa. And now it is your wish, some having an exceptional mindset that they can listen and they can write at a time, like both of the hands is having such power. It is, if you like to listen and if you would like to write at this time, both you can do at a time. If you have such thing, I just welcome you to write what I am saying now. Let me talk about Ahimsa on the board now. Means non-violence is called Ahimsa. Non-violence. Himsa means violence. Ahimsa is non-violence. So we should not do himsa in our life, in thoughts, in words, in deeds. The Yogi Patanjali recommending us, don't do violence. No, no, we should not harm others. No, we should not harm others. Now, yesterday's class, I am speaking about How can we stay 100% non-violent? Is it possible? Yeah, our friend is saying not possible. True, it is not possible. As we born as human beings, it is not possible for all to be 100% non-violent. True. Knowingly, unknowingly, we are doing some harm. It's happening. But the human beings having unlimited energy inside. Our soul is divinely potential. There is a great divinity inside. So, if you invoke that energy, the human turning as a divine, with that divinity, we can bring 100% non-violence in our life possible. When the human turns as divine, it is possible. There are practices like Brahma Yajna, Pancha Yajna concept is there in the yogic tradition. Pancha Yajna, Yajna means sacrifice. It is offering with humbleness, everything. Knowingly, unknowingly, we are saying something wrong against our ancestors, our fathers, and our forefathers. And all the actions are getting recorded. And to compensate this kind of violence unknowingly, it is also mentally thinking something against them. To overcome from this, to compensate this, our ancestors explained to us a wonderful system called Pitru Yajna. Pitarus means the forefathers, the ancestors. For all we are respecting. Respecting ancestors is a way. That is the reason it is the system with awareness. It is the mind in which way we understand. This concept is there everywhere. The concept, certain kind of practices with awareness, you can see in yogic tradition. That again, if you are understanding it as strict rules of religion, it won't make sense. That spirit in these practices we have to understand. A common man understands these 5 yajnas just as certain kind of religious practices. And spirituality is mistakenly understood in the name of religion. That what we have to overcome. We all need to overcome. Certain kind of practices makes us very happy. Pitru Yajna means with higher awareness invoking our forefathers. Invoking our forefathers and praying them. This kind of tradition not only there in India, this kind of tradition is there and the ceremonies that we are giving there, but with higher awareness it is not there. This sending and connecting to them and praying is there. Prayers are there in everywhere. This kind of prayers are there, that also youngsters thinking in all cultures as a religious practice, but all cultures all over the world are very beautiful. In that religious discipline, there is a wonderful spirit that what youngsters should understand and youngsters should connect to. And Pitarus means forefathers and ancestors. Invoking them and praying them, surrendering to them, and always saying our gratitude towards them will compensate that something if you speak against this forefathers and ancestors through the words. Sometimes we do some actions which are unworthy. Sometimes we harm other humans. To compensate this, we have to always do Manushya Yajna, offerings to the humans, doing charities, giving shelter, and making them happy all the time, and speaking good to them and directing them towards a very good path and being and becoming compassionate towards all human beings is what we need. This is called Manushya Yajna. Okay. And next is called Bhuta Yajna, means being and becoming kind to animal kingdom. Animal kingdom. Kind towards dogs and kindness towards cats, towards bugs and towards birds. Kindness showing towards all the other living organisms in the environment, protecting them as much as you can and saving them is called Bhuta Yajna. I appreciate our friend giving food to the dogs and this is becoming Bhuta Yajna. You have done Bhuta Yajna. This Bhuta Yajna is that is saying good to the animals, saving animals and protecting the animals, taking care of the birds, saving their lives and from the other humans, from the environmental hazards as much as you can. That is according to the capabilities and possibilities. This is all becoming Bhuta Yajna. Next is that we say Rishi Yajna. Rishis means masters, the enlightened masters, respecting them and connecting to them and in which order they have given us education, that receiving, praying, obliging and going forward. Rishi Yajna is that surrendering to the enlightened masters by their prayers and invoking them. Sometimes we are doing the actions against the rishis. That actions against the rishis, enlightened masters, because the actions of them are doing with awareness. With our mind, we cannot decide their actions, not possible. So, enlightened masters are considering as the Aptavakya Pramana, means what they are doing with awareness. So, just we are following. Sometimes you can follow them blindly also, no problem, but we are not. But they are saying that don't follow us blindly because they have opened their eyes, the third eye opened. Those whose third eye opened, they are called enlightened. So, they are doing all the actions with awareness, they are called rishis. Patanjali is a rishi. They were going with a oral tradition, he taught to his disciples. This yogic education is a oral tradition. So, connecting to the rishis through oral tradition, reciting them through the mantras and sitting and connecting the energy, invoking and listening, reading is a policy. So, that is a one kind of style. That is what in the name of studying happening. Rishi Yajna is happening in the form of listening. Rishi Yajna is happening in the name of studying. Rishi Yajna is happening here. What is Rishi Yajna? All the teachings of the rishis we are memorizing and following according to their pattern and connecting. That is the way. Today, this lecturing of mine is a way of Rishi Yajna. In this Rishi Yajna, we can make some amendments like writing and like question and answers and all these things for our convenience. Definitely, what can we do? We can do. But for a certain period of time, how the oral tradition was going on, they have done all this with subconscious, without books, without notes and pen. All the 10,850 mantras these Vedic priests were remembering. All the Sanskrit they were remembering. And they were remembering just through the mind. Mind is such a powerful thing. Yoga is such a simple thing. No things, no other things are required. No books required, no pen required, no mobile required. Without any other thing except than you, why can't you search something within? That is yoga. Yoga is just you, that's it. And everything is there within. Realizing that within, the book is within. We have to write in the heart with our pure mind. That is just for what we are doing for that things for just for ourselves. First we have to realize ourselves. Then the things naturally will happen. Then people start listening and people start learning from you naturally. But the thing is, first how far we realized. For this realization, it is just the energy is within. The whole science laboratory is within. No need to do the scientific experiments outside. Those who are doing scientific experiments to prove that yoga as a science, they are investing thousands, lakhs of rupees, and till now lots of research is pending. In sun salutations, they explain that there are 12 suns in the galaxy. There are 12 suns in the galaxy. Many thousand years back, the rishis said that what after doing lots of research, the modern scientists are saying that yes, there is another sun in the galaxy. But for that they invested crores and lakhs of rupees in your sense many millions of rupees they invested for lots of currency used, and lots of scientific laboratories they used to prove that there is another sun in the galaxy. Already they realized that in the deep meditation inside. Balance we bring, external objects we just use for our convenience, but as much as simple we have to start our living. As much as simple. That what we have to do. Simplicity, the what yoga teaches to us. What we need really, what we need. We need to know the consciousness. That is most important. Rishi Yajna, if you do, we can connect to that consciousness. As long as we oscillate our mind with the Rishi's consciousness, we cannot connect to that consciousness. So the Rishis with higher awareness in the oral tradition, they gifted these beautiful studies. As what is Brahma Yajna? Brahma Yajna means it is that connecting to that pure consciousness and always surrendering to that consciousness. All the things doing with awareness, thinking all the time mentally that everything is light, and that means awareness coming in that name, and that is becoming Brahma Yajna. With this awareness, if you stay, it is called offering. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavihi Brahmagno Brahmanahutam. You are saying at the time of eating. It is called Brahma Yajna only. That means you are always doing all the actions by connecting to that Brahma, Brahman, pure consciousness. If you do all the actions by connecting to that Brahman, pure consciousness, it is becoming Brahma Yajna. And also with that awareness, that Brahma Yajna is subdivided and it explained with awareness again as Rishi Yajna in that Brahman. So from that Brahman everything manifested. So the Rishis manifested. So enlightened masters are there. So connecting to them with awareness. And if you follow these guidelines and if you understand this energy with awareness, and there will be no suffering within, and we can practice complete non-violence is possible by these offerings if you apply in our day-to-day life. Unknowingly we kill many bugs. We kill many bugs. It is becoming violence. To compensate that loss, what the thing we have to do is every time when there are some ants, for example, we have to feed some ants. If you are feeding some ants every day, it is becoming Bhota Yajna. I will tell you an example of Bhota Yajna. The place where I learned the yoga and Vedanta is also not only Kaivalya Dham. I went to the place Rishikesh, there Shivananda Ashram. I was studying in the monastery. When I'm studying in that ashram, Shivananda Ashram, there They prepare a special food for ants. Special food for ants. After preparing this special food for ants, they take to the forest, because in rainy season the ants are not getting food. They cannot come out because they are very tiny, they will die. The very speciality in ants we see is they gather the things, they gather all the food, the particles, and they take they preserve the food for a rainy season. In summer they work hard and they preserve the food for rainy season. They work hard. In every living being, in every organism, we can see the what you call energy levels. We can connect to the knowledge. There is a jnana everywhere. In ants, we can see their work mindedness. So, their working skills are very high. Hard work we can see from ants, and a very good discipline also they follow, and wonderful what you call unity among the ants also you can see. Ants are always going in a straight line. One from one ant, another ant is following. Of course, they emit a kind of hormone, and according to that, the ants smell, through which if one ant is there, another ant coming, and they are so meeting together. So, if you see the ants, we can learn many things. Wonderful discipline we can learn, unity we can learn, work mindedness we can learn by seeing the ants. This is a sage Vamadeva meditated on ants. By meditating on ants, he made a yogic style called Pipilaka Yoga. There is a style of yoga, a method, a rare method of yoga. It's called Pipilaka Yoga. Ant in Sanskrit we call it as Pipilaka. Pipilaka means ant. Pipilaka Yoga is there. So, in that yoga we are meditating on ants. Because when the nadis in your body, when they starts functioning, it just brings you a feel that many thousands of ants are biting inside. In the skull also you feel that many thousands of ants are moving and giving a bite. Such kind of feel you will get. This is my personal experience, that when many thousands of ants are getting biting me, such kind of feel I am getting. At the time when I am getting, I connected to the Pipilaka Yoga. I was not studied in any from person that there is a Pipilaka Yoga, and I was nobody saying about that. It is the journey I started. So, when I am feeling that in the skull such kind of movement is there, and so like many ants are passing like, but there are no ants. I am feeling that there are some ants here, but there are no ants here. At the time when I am seeing that what's happening, at that time I connected to that Pipilaka Yoga is a yoga pattern is there. This was explained by the Vamadeva, and there we have to understand that this nadis active. Pipilaka Marga means many translated as a yoga which is very slow in nature. No, it's not like that. Pipilaka means ant. When you really start meditating, the nadis in your body starts activation. When the movement will be like ants biting in the body, that is called Pipilaka Yoga. Anyway, I am coming to the point. Saving ants is also part and parcel in Bhota Yajna. Should we save mosquitoes also? They bite you. Or should we kill them? This is a question. What to do if we are doing meditation when many mosquitoes biting you? Swami Vivekananda was following that. When he was sitting, many mosquitoes coming, but he want to practice non-violence, but mosquitoes biting him. What to do? In the beginning, he was following self-defense. Self-defense is not wrong in the beginning, because every being is having a tendency to protect themselves. A cat is seeking protection from tiger. A tiger is seeking protection from lion. A lion is seeking protection from another big beings and from the hunters, and a hunter is seeking protection from the kings, and the kings are seeking protection from emperors, the emperors are seeking protection. See, this is all the law that they follow. That is the reason I am saying to you that complete following of non-violence is not possible in the beginning. So in the beginning, self-defense is not wrong, but with awareness we can overcome it. If you start meditating, lots of energy reflects in you, a kind of aura, a kind of defense mechanism. The immunity system is becoming strong inside. A wonderful layer will spread around you. That energy reflection from your side, it stops some other beings and bugs not to come to you and not to harm you. It is possible. It was said by Yogi Patanjali that any person who is really thinking for 100% non-violence, definitely he can practice. But if you thinking in the beginning itself, you think that it is not possible only. But that willpower, will should be very strong. So that I want to explain the whole Ashtanga Yoga with 3 powers. You need 3 powers to understand Ashtanga Yoga according to my perspective. I want to explain all the Ashtanga Yogas with 3 powers: willpower, work power, and wisdom power. Yama, Niyama speaking about willpower. Asana, pranayama, and pratyahara is work power. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi, last 3 limbs connecting you to that wisdom power. In Sanskrit, we call this willpower as Ichha Shakti. Ichha Shakti. The work power, we call it as Kriya Shakti. The wisdom power, we are calling it as Jnana Shakti. We need Shakti. What kind of Shakti we need here? Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti. Shivananda Ashram, we also sing the song for this Shakti. Om Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti Pahimam. Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti Pahimam. We salute to this Shakti, to the power. We need to invoke the will power inside. If you are having a strong will that I will practice this non-violence, we can practice this non-violence, sure. With awareness, it is possible. Patanjali is saying that if anyone who practices this non-violence 100%, the yogi who is steadfast in this non-violence, who is 100% established in this non-violence, from him, in front of him, there is no enmity. In front of him, there is no enmity. Ahimsa pratishtayam tatsannidhau vairatyaga. Vairatyaga, vaira means enmity. The leopard and sheep, they were having jati vaira. It's conflict from this is incompatibility. They won't compete each other by birth. There is always incompatibility between tiger and sheep. But they all play together. Peacocks and snakes won't match. Peacock will kill the snake when it sees. But they both play together in front of a yogi. In front of enlightened masters, they forgetting their cruelty, connecting to the soul, and all the animals also, every being having soul. So animals also in front of the enlightened masters, just sitting silent and forgetting that their cruel nature and connecting to their naturality, which is sedative. That is possible. It happened in front of the yogi Ramana Maharshi. He was speaking with monkeys. Monkeys were sitting in front of him and meditating. Tigers were sitting in front of him and meditating. Lions were sitting in front of him and meditating sometimes. It was in front of Ramana Maharshi, many dogs meditating, cows meditating. All of them playing together. In the ashram of Patanjali, cats and rats Tom and Jerry, they are living like friends. Yes? Hmm? That's what I'm saying. In front of a yogi, the Tom and Jerry who were fighting all the time, they will be live like a friends in front of enlightened masters. The limitations of a human being is also based, even in human beings, there are different levels of consciousness we are seeing in even in human beings. But the true nature of human being is that the teeth of the human beings, if you see, they are the carnivorous teeth, not the herbivorous teeth. In the beings, there are carnivorous beings and herbivorous beings we are seeing. Carnivorous beings will take non-vegetarian eaters. Herbivorous teeth is that for vegetarian eating. In some kind of birds like parrots, and if you see, they are not eating non-vegetarian. In cows, the teeth is not carnivorous teeth, it's herbivorous teeth. So that cows are not eating non-vegetarian flesh. Maybe there is an exceptional cow, which the TV9 channels and other 24-hour TV channels may publicize it that, oh, this cow is also eating non-vegetarian. But exception is not a rule. Exception will be every day, everywhere. That exception is not going to be a rule in teachings. That is called Purva Paksha. Who said to the cow to be vegetarian? Who said to the parrot to be vegetarian? These are instincts. These kinds of instincts we are seeing in human beings also. Certain kind of human beings are by birth vegetarians. So they don't, they will also later on, if somebody impose something rules, they turn as vegans, they turn as vegetarians. Because they like eating not non-vegetarian stuff, vegetarian stuff. They feel that is a natural quality. Every being is having its own nature according to their karma, according to their energy levels. We cannot, no tiger will be vegetarian, tiger will be non-vegetarian. No dog will be vegetarian, dog definitely will be the non-vegetarian. No ant will be vegetarian, it will be non-vegetarian. Elephant is always vegetarian. Elephant is very big, but it takes vegetarian. Ant is very small, it takes non-vegetarian. If you say that by taking non-vegetarian we improve the strength, it is not like that. Why ant is very small? Why elephant is very big? It is that we cannot say like this. According to the level of our energy, it depends. What kind of consciousness we are having, what kind of energies we are having. It is always that we have to think about instincts and intellectuality. What are the instincts and what is what we have to always think about instincts and energy, instincts and intelligence. All the animal beings are having limited intelligence and they carry lots of instincts. Consciousness. This intelligence also depends on the person's level of consciousness. Even in human beings, as he is a human, if he is again connecting to that animal consciousness, it is becoming tamasic. And again, if he is connecting to that power hunger, it is becoming rajasic. If he connects to that balance, it is becoming sattvic. Energy, we can connect to that divine energy, that is possible. With that divine energy, one can practice 100% non-violence. It is possible. If you practice these 5 offerings in our day with awareness, it is possible. In some traditions like Jainism, in some traditions like Buddhism, they also go very deep for practicing non-violence. But the rules and regulations in these kind of practices, if you see, they look like any kind of religion and tradition will disappear in front of you because of the strict rules and regulations inside. Tell you one story here of Buddha, how great non-violent practitioner he was. A dacoit came and want to kill Buddha because in those days they were dressing their hair very nicely. Buddha having a wonderful curly hair and he was making it like matted hair. He dressed his matted hair very beautifully. And so the dacoit was thinking that something is there. In those days, they were thinking that some money or some diamonds they were storing in that matted hair. And they thought that Buddha having lots of diamonds inside, the matted hair, and want to kill him. And he came in front of him and went to want to kill him. He just surrendered to him. He felt he was just standing in front of him silent. By seeing his glow in the eyes were lightening at the time, shining, and he felt that lots of power coming from him. His soul connected to that peace, and immediately he surrendered to him. He touched the foot of the Buddha feet and turned as a disciple to Buddha. What made him as a disciple to Buddha is that the power of non-violence reflecting from the eyes. If you practice 100% non-violence, it reflects in your eyes. That reflection of the power from the eyes spreads everywhere. That makes the other to sit quiet. That makes the others to make no violence in front. This is what happened for our Buddha. This is what happened for Ramana Maharshi. This is what happened for many enlightened monks and masters. Ahimsa pratishtayam tatsannidho vairattyagaha. There will be no enmity in front of you if you practice 100% non-violence. If you're doing something violence to cats, save cats. See, everything is that with awareness. Even eating vegetarian is also a kind of violence, because taking, so we are giving something harm. We are taking potatoes from the, and planting potatoes and taking potatoes means, is it not violence? Are we not bringing violence to vegetarian stuff also in the name of vegetarian? Vegetarian is also that, killing animals, that means animal slaughter. Killing the animals and eating non-vegetarian is considered as violence, because we're killing the life of animals and eating. So non-vegetarian eating is considered as not at all good sign for yogic practitioners. So vegetarian, it is recommending, we're not having right to kill any animal, and we should not eat non-vegetarian stuff, and we have to turn as vegetarians. Vegetarian food stuff we have to eat. And there is an argument that even vegetarian is also a kind of violence, because in vegetarian plants, in plants also there is life. So we are not having right to take the life of the plants. We are not taking the life of the plants actually. Generally the stuff what the plants are giving, that we are taking in the name of vegetables. But sometimes the potatoes and all this stuff we plant and we take it. And what it is, that is the reason all the actions we have to do with awareness. As we born as a human, our consciousness is limited, but in this limited consciousness, if you are aware, we are turning divine. If you cut, but for survival also, we need to make a shelter. For shelter, we need something material stuff. For construction, we are constructing to make a shelter with wood coming from the trees. So we are cutting the trees, and they are helping us as shelter and protection, giving protection to live. It means we are cutting the trees. So cutting the trees is not violence. So violence. So how can we live without cutting the trees? Then because no constructions will happen if you won't cut the trees. So trees are very responsible for our construction work in the name of wood. It is always helpful. Then that is the reason, if you need a tree to cut, plant 5 and cut 1. Generally save the trees. In the name of tissue papers, many thousand trees are getting cut, you know. In the name of paper pulp, many thousand trees are getting cut. We have to be very aware. In India, there are no tissue papers that people are using. People using everything as natural. But in western side, we are seeing that the tissue papers are very predominant. In the name of tissue papers, lots of trees are getting cut. It is a violence. One of the best countries in the world, we can say Bhutan, is trying to practice 100% non-violence. It is the country ruling by the king, and we see that that country is not doing any animal slaughtery in that country. Animal slaughtery is an offense in Bhutan. No one should kill any animal in Bhutan. No. Bhutan is such an inspiring country, which is really practicing non-violence. That should be inspiring for us. And we have to practice non-violence in our life, makes our life beautiful, with awareness. How can you do that? So that is the reason, if something is required as because of ignorance we born, And how far we can do, that much we can do. That is the reason, if you really need it in the samsara, you cut one tree and plant. If your mind is open and enlightened, you are not cutting the trees and all these things. You are just living as simple as possible in the nature. That what I am saying to you. If for example we go to some places like there are some places in India like Bengal. In Bengal, fish is vegetarian for them, because in those days there was no transport facilities available, and they feel that the fish is a natural vegetable inside the sea, and with that mindset they were eating the fish. In Poland also, fish is vegetarian for them. It is the mind. Vegetarian and non-vegetarian will be always there in the mind. If you think non-vegetarian as vegetarian, it is becoming vegetarian. If you becoming vegetarian as non-vegetarian, that is becoming non-vegetarian. But that is also 70%. Remaining 30% plays a vital role in building up your bodies, bones and all, because they contain their own, it is a substance, it is an object, it is an energy, it is a being, it is a living being, even though it is Maya. And as long as we are dreaming this world, world is true. That is the reason world is real as long as we stay in the real. So that we need a balance with awareness. In that, making this as with balance, we need higher awareness. So that thing is where you are born, in which climatical conditions you are born, according to that the theory we have to apply. And those who are born taking birth on the mountains, for them the sheep and goat is becoming vegetarian for them. Just that means for survival purpose if you eat, just for living if you eat, it is not becoming sin, and it is nothing. But for if you are doing it for your sensory happiness and for taste, we are killing many animals to have the sensory happiness, and killing many animals and making it beautiful as a dishes, and eating is that animal eating and flesh eating is that non-vegetarian eating is that for sensory happiness, for taste, and for hunger. And if there is no possibility, just for survival purpose, if you eat non-vegetarian, it is okay. But just for your happiness, sensory happiness, to satisfy senses, if you are eating, yoga is not recommending. It is not that. No, we should not do that. But that also according to our karma. Those who are having higher awareness, they are realizing, and because we are having intelligence and wisdom, they are moving towards a very favorable environment where we can seek fresh vegetarianism. They are moving because we are having mind, we are having energy, and also they are connecting to the balance within, connecting to that balance within. A yogi called Maharshi Mehi, and who born in a non-vegetarian family in the childhood, but he was turned completely vegetarian later because he realized the importance of vegetarianism. Like that, many Westerners who born in the very in the places where there is animal slaughtery a lot, but why they are turning into the vegan diet and all these things? Because they are realizing the importance of this. This is the mindset. That means if you are turning towards vegetarian, means it is a human turning as divine. That means those humans whose mindset is having a possibility to turn as a divine, they are getting such wonderful thoughts that to be vegetarian and to practice good diet and to improve our consciousness. These kind of thoughts are coming because when we are having ripening of karma, and the karma is ripening, when there are positive thoughts are flashing in the mind, when the sattva is progressing inside, then all the thoughts related to vegetarianism will come, all the thoughts of non-violence will come, all the awareness will come. You will be connected to that holy awareness, and that makes you happy, which we have to practice. So non-violence means how to practice this non-violence with high awareness. And rigid rules if you bring and if you are unable to practice, it is not that struggling. And a seeker should not be like a struggled seeker. A seeker should remain with balance. For this balance, we need the sayings of our enlightened masters also, because they are like role models and pioneers. How they practice it in their life, non-violence. In how they see, we say many things in the books, but as the situation comes, how we practice that? How we practice it? Once a yogi called Lahiri Mahasaya, he was the guru for the Yogananda Paramananda. And he was the guru to the guru. The guru for the Yogananda Paramananda is that Yukteswar Giri, and his guru is Lahiri.
And so if you read the autobiography of a yogi, you will get that. He's a disciple of Mahavatar Babaji. And once a fisherman called him for food. He was just seeing light everywhere, and he went there, and he gave the fish curry to him, but he doesn't know. He was a very strict practitioner of vegetarianism from childhood, and he was not eating like that. And so just when he was offering, just he had it. After that, he was in trance and seeking everything, but he was not connecting to the taste part of it. Just he was eating and chewing, and after that he said that what it is. He asked, "It's a fish curry." Then he said, "Oh, it's fish curry. I don't know that." But he said pranams and he went. But he nothing said anything to him. This is that. So when your mind is not entangled with this kind of sensory craving, whatever you do, it is becoming, there is no right and no wrong. There is no positivity and no negativity in reality. But as long as we are in the phenomenal world, we need a certain kind of positivity to make everything positive. This is that every.
May I ask a question?
Please, please, please.
If people have a dog, you said dog is not.
You're not directly doing and making other person to kill that person, that is becoming violence. Or if you are not directly doing, if a person not directly killing, but if the person is making others to kill a person, and that is becoming violence. And if a person is just after killing a person, if he is just appreciating that killing, that is also becoming violence. So in three ways. So we should not do voluntarily, and we should not make others to do, and also we should not encourage, and we should not appreciate. That appreciation and encouragement of violence also becoming, if you, for example, if you praise some violence happening, for example, if you appreciate a bullfight, if you appreciate the cockfight, oh, it's very nice. And if you appreciate the violent games in the mobile, it is also violence. That much awareness the enlightened masters need. I'm not talking for just normal living. Normal living in that how to bring divinity in human life. I'm speaking about the divinity in human life. To bring divinity, this is important. So Yogi Sadashiva Brahmendran, he is speaking. See, one thing I want to tell to you, according to the karma we take birth. If a person is taking birth in a very non-vegetarian environment, means it is his karma. Immediately, that means there are non-vegetarian instincts are there. Immediately he cannot break up that. So he should balance where he born. According to the instincts, we have to balance. If you are having that dogly consciousness in the mind, so to do without that, so that violence, immediately you cannot, what you call, you cannot give up that. But it is a violence. But with awareness, but it is not, immediately it is not disturbing you. But when it is making you happy, and see, it is a way. We will learn one fine day what is violence and what is non-violence with higher awareness. And with this, we will learn. It's a journey. It is a journey through which we will learn one fine day what is complete violence and what is complete non-violence. In the journey only we will learn. With open mindedness only we will learn these kind of things. So if we realize, if you are enlightened, the dog in front of you will behave with non-violence. And that dog also, Lakshmi, there was a dog always with Ramana Maharshi. It was a vegetarian eater. And I have seen surprised in the Himachal Pradesh, there is a Pandit. This Panditji is a pure vegetarian. In his house there is a dog because their children bring dog in the house. And because they cannot cook non-vegetarian in the house, they keep only vegetarian in the house, and they're feeding only vegetarian to the dog. Never they give non-vegetarian stuff. Sometimes this dog wants some non-vegetarian stuff. Maybe where it is going, we don't know. Going and getting it. It is 13 years old now. So from childhood, I'm seeing this dog. And this dog, sometimes it is eating mosquitoes, sometimes eating ants. And but lots, it is a vegetarian dog. They were very shocked and surprised. That means their consciousness is vegetarian consciousness, but they love dogs. According to that, it match. So according to your energy, the beings also will match to you. According to your level of energy, the beings and the energy is connecting to you. This is the law we have to understand. If you're connecting to something violent, consciousness means there is also unknown violence inside. If you just, it is that than thinking of others and other beings and other bugs, first you think of ourselves. If you realize, the perception changes. '81 varieties this violence is there. If you are, that is the reason 100% if you are non-violent. If that is not possible, becoming possible.
There is no right and wrong in the beginning. See, if the cat is the food for tiger. It is not wrong for tiger. It is a cycle. It is a food cycle. And tiger is the food for many birds. Birds are the food for many ants. And ant is the food for mosquitoes. Mosquitoes are going to be the food for ants. And this is a food law, food cycle. How can you say it is wrong? Like that, the human beings are also, even though looking like human beings, there are many instincts will play a vital role in their lifestyle. So that all the animals, how they were living, in human beings also, no that kind of divinity is ringing like that. Humans just as humans. Though those human beings, as the levels of consciousness differ for even in human beings. Levels. After crossing 84,000 of animal lives by getting a human life, so we are very lucky. But even in human lives, so normal human, after crossing many thousand human lives, we are getting a divine human life. After crossing many divine human lives, we are becoming enlightened. So if you are talking about a normal human being's lifestyle, in that you are asking the questions of dogs and all the care and about the birds. If you turn as a life of a divine in the human, that divine human life is speaking all this kind of awareness, which our enlightened human beings, masters are speaking. And more than that, the enlightened masters saying for us how to turn as divine. So for divine human beings, for human beings who would like to ring bells for divinity and equanimity, for them this text is. This text is not that to live in the samsara, and for that samsara, Kaupina Samrakshanardam Patatopa. I will set this story and I will conclude the session. Once a guru gave a mantra to a small boy, and do that mantra. And he just started meditating in the cave, that mantra. He was having a small loin cloth. After that, a cat came and a rat came, and after that it is giving bite to that loin cloth, eating that loin cloth. 2 loin cloths he was having. And if we started thinking that, oh, rat is coming here, what to do? What to do? So let us bring a cat, it will eat the rat. So he was bringing a cat. So that then the cat was eating this rat, he was thinking. But still the rats are there. Cat is going here and there, but still many rats are coming. This cat, so what he was thinking is sometimes he's coming, sometimes he's not going. So for cat, it needs milk. If you're not giving milk to the cat, it won't come. So for this, he was thinking that to give milk to the cat, what to do? Then he bought a cow. But then the cow also needs protection, and the cow needs always service and food. Who gives food for the cow? So he was bringing a servant maid. That servant maid coming and feeding the cow, and that cow milk this rat is drinking. And this, so for cat, he bought all these things. And after that, he fall in love with that servant maid. After that, they got a child. When the monk who gave the mantra just sacrificed this samsara and just realize everything within, he said that in Nigon. But he saw after 3-4 years, he was passing on the way and want to see how his disciple was, and entered there. And after seeing that, a baby was there crying, and with a beautiful woman, and after that with cow, with cats and with rats, everything. Then he saw, and he was seeing that, oh, what happened, my dear? What happened? This is all the stuff in the mind. If you think all these things, the world will be like this only. So if you want to practice this holy Ashtanga Yoga by keeping whole world and worldly consciousness and about all the leaves and bugs and beings in the mind, this will be like that only. All the cats, dogs, birds are within. And you yourself are not there actually, that mind is only there. So the most important thing is realizing the body which is not existing within. If you realize yourself as food is required for your body, that food also we are seeking inside. The air what we are breathing seeking inside. The water what we are seeking outside is inside. If everything is inside, the dogs, cats, everything are also inside. If you realize that, that perception is different. Until attaining such a level of practice, first we need a discipline in our life. You can do whatever you want. So for example, we are not saying against to any animal or any being. It is a natural quality.
A snake's natural quality is that. Like that in human beings also, let them go with the natural quality. If they love the dogs, they're doing their karma means the no enlightened master is saying that don't do this and don't do that. Let them do their own. But finally, for realization, if you ask that it is becoming violence means, yes, in higher realization, for higher realization it is violence. But for just a normal living, and it is not violence, maybe not looks like a violence, because for a cat, eating rat is not violence. This is a natural state. Like for human beings also, thinking too much about the samsara in front of us is not violence. According to that karma balance, they are taking birth in different places. But with awareness, we can do many things. With awareness, I am talking about these things. Awareness is very different. Awareness is very know what we are, and with this, if we connect to that, definitely we can connect to that higher consciousness. So there is a lot to talk on only non-violence for many days, but today class is very good to share about non-violence. In the remaining classes, I will connect you to that truth and non-stealing, and how the practitioners explain how to practice them. We will go through. There was a game like Blue Whale, the children playing and committing suicide. Such kind of encouraging, we should not encourage such kind of violence. No, we should not encourage such kind of violence. As how the remaining beings are there, and for that no practices are required like that. No discussion also required. So let us conclude this session with one Om chant. Let me conclude with one Om chanting. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.